this meeting to order. The Webster Township Board, August 8, 2012. Roll call, please.
Ray. Yes. Vickers. Yes. Henny.
Present.
Valentini.
Yes.
Diesel here.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone here this evening. Public comment this evening.
Yes. I think the township board, or the township office, when they hand out any paperwork, regardless if it's time sensitive, it ought to be written on the front of it, when the due date is up. I mean, their taxes go out, we know when the due date is on that. Building permits supposedly got a due date, right? The expiration date on them?
Well, that's on the permit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was handed some paper a while back, and it was expressed to me in a certain way that this was such a due date, and I didn't follow up on it, but it could have been wrote down on a piece of paper. I definitely would have had that date, that's right. So I'm just saying, that's something that the township office ought to look into. When the due date is due, that is written on a piece of paper.
He's speaking about his petition to run, and he said that I gave him the wrong due date on his petition, verbally.
It's my lack of diligence. I should have pursued that farther, because I thought that was wrong right off the bat when I said at the hall here. So, but I'm just saying, if it was wrote down on a piece of paper, then you need to throw it right back in my face. All right, you did you read paper?
You don't create those forms, right? They come from the state.
Yeah, they're just general. I mean, I looked at it because she said it was in there. I said, it's not in there, because I looked over that 3 times, and I've done this, that's just a general form that tells you about what you got to do. It doesn't tell you when.
I'm
Well,
only handing out state forms. I'm not creating a form.
I understand that. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm just saying it needs to be probably written down on a piece of paper there.
It falls under kind of the same category as the Thaddeus McCotter and his little deal down there when he didn't get enough petition signatures and he waited until the last second to turn it in. And he didn't have time. I guess my advice would be in that particular situation, turn the thing in May or whatever, and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would say.
So, you know, if you really wanted to be on the board, you should have turned the thing in and not waited. And I think that's a game that's kind of silly to play. So, anyway, we'll take it into consideration, and if it's an issue that continues to be an issue, then we'll try to make some changes. But at this time, it is what it is. Anything else, Dave?
Nope.
Okay. Additions to the agenda? Anybody have any changes to the agenda? Okay. Minutes from last month's meeting? Comments, questions, or corrections to last month's minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand as presented. Treasurer's report, Penny?
I'll take any questions or concern anyone has.
Any questions or comments about the treasurer's report? Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome.
Bills from last month? Entertain a motion to pay the bills from last month?
I make a motion to pay the bills in amount of $13,096.07.
I'll support.
Support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Vickers.
Yes.
Henny.
Yes.
Wade.
Yes.
Diesel, yes. Valentini.
Yes.
Motion carries. This evening we have Jim Benjamin from the Road Commission. I think he drew the short straw. Bill's on vacation, so we got the privilege of coming and talking to us. Last month's meeting, we had talked about working with them about doing some chip sealing, and a conversation with Bill, the way the logistics and the new bidding process and money procurement system that the county uses. It was going to put us into September, and Bill and Jim felt that that isn't the best time of year to be chip sealing. So they put together this little suggested proposal here that the board might want to look at in lieu of the chip sealing. And that's why he's here to help us kind of go through that, so, if there's anything you'd like to add, Jim, before we get going?
Just, unfortunately, the millage didn't pass. I had some scenarios, had the millage passed as well. This stuff I just threw together today. Hopefully, would you like me to read it out loud so that everybody hears it? Or?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
I've got
I don't
enough
think-
copies to pass out. So
Do you have extra copies?
I do.
People would like a copy if they have one, and maybe they could just look it over. Why don't you just kind of go through each proposals, the ideas, and we'll talk about those as you.
Yes, the proposals are scenarios. You could use half of your available funding, $93,250. That's the combination of the township and the road department funds for a total of 600 tons of asphalt prep work in 2012, which would leave a total of $94,000 for 2013. That is the combination of the $46,000 carryover plus the $48,000 of 2013 funds. That's your $24,000 plus our 24 match. And that would chip seal approximately 5 miles of road. Scenario 2 is using 2/3 of your available funds, which would, that would do 900 tons of asphalt prep work in 2012 and leave a total of $73,250 for next year to chip seal approximately 4 miles. Scenario 3 would be using 100% of available funding in 2012, and that would give us 1,200 tons of asphalt prep work in 2012, and it would leave just $48,000 for 2013 to chip seal approximately 2.8 miles. As I spell it out here, scenario 1 sounds appealing. I would love to, it sounds like I'd love to chip seal 5 miles of road, but I don't really think that it would be fitting. I would be forced to ignore some of the worst roads, like Olds Road, and then next year I would be begging for major commitment for the restoration of the roads like Olds Road. I think 2 or 3 are more realistic. Scenario 2, that could work on a combination of Olds Road from Jackson to Hull, that's 1.5 miles, plus Hull Road from Olds to Bellevue, plus Churchill Road from Bellevue to Covert for a total of 4.5 miles. Scenario 3 would better apply to some roads that are beat up a little bit worse, like Covert from Wright to Eden, plus Kinneyville from Oak to Maine, plus Baseline from Jackson to State for a total of 3 miles. I'm working for you. Personally, I like scenario number 2. The roads mentioned in scenario number 2 are closer to town and much more heavily traveled, but as I said, I'm working for you.
Could you,
And just to finish on that, nothing here is written in stone. These are suggestions.
just to clarify, so I think everybody is on the same page, when you talk about like 600 tons of asphalt prep
Yes,
work,
yes.
that's doing that, talk about what that means, and then we'll talk about the chip seal.
Okay, the asphalt prep work, that would be wedging, leveling, smoothing out the existing asphalt with our forces at $65 per ton applied. We kind of created that rate. We lose money at that rate, but we're paying over $50 a ton for the asphalt. And when you go skip paving and patching, you don't really, it's not like a total overlay where you can apply it for $5 to $10 a ton. So, but the prep work is to give you the good ride and to thicken the asphalt in the punched areas, the ruts. The chip seal is a preservation to rejuvenate the surface and hopefully give you a good road for another 8 years.
Does the asphalt prep seal, or
The preparation.
prep work, does that lay a coating of
It's,
an inch or two of
it's, well,
asphalt?
if we were wedging, it would be like on a local road that's got 4% crown, it would be pretty, unless you do a whole pad over the
whole road, but if your edges are bad, it would be a taper from the quarter crown out to the edge. So, from nothing out to 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, whatever it takes to straighten the road.
That's Patty's flag, by
That's
the way.
Patty's
I know,
flag.
it's been my pet all day today, so Patty Township friend.
He likes blondes.
I've got a collar on that. We've been trying to smack it all day. Our township fly swatter has come up missing, and we've been fighting with inadequate tools, so.
But, yeah,
Is there any questions about that aspect of what he's talking about? Everybody understand what that means, and when he's talking about the 600 or 900 or 1,200 tons of asphalt? He's actually talking about just squaring the road up and getting it back to its engineered form, I suppose you would call it. And, but it does not mean chip sealing.
correct. The chip seal would be next year.
Something we would try to
Yeah,
get.
I vowed to never chip seal after Labor Day again. I don't want to chip seal in school, after school starts, and I don't want to chip seal in 40-degree weather, so. We learned our lesson on Haynes Road in Bunker Hill Township a few years ago.
Is it a function of just the temperature, the tire doesn't, the stones don't get packed in good, and you don't get a good?
Yeah, it takes 2 weeks to 30 days of warm weather to really make a chip seal effective after it's applied.
Can I ask, in scenario 3, why do we keep seeing the same roads again and again and again? I mean, we pay to have them not just chip sealed, but paved, and then you keep seeing them on the list again and again.
Culvert wasn't paved.
No, it was Kinneyville from Oak to Main and Baseline from Jackson to State. I mean, we've seen those roads before.
Yeah, it wasn't too many years ago, we put a complete layer on that Kinneyville Road. Part of it's an old lake bottom, that's the biggest problem.
I mean, you know roads that have never been touched and they're okay, but we keep seeing the same ones again, are they?
Jackson, that portion of Baseline, it was the other portion of Baseline that I think.
That was done last, but we did
Yeah.
that portion
Yeah.
before that. We did that before that. 'Cause that is just out in my area, so that's kind of.
And you're talking quite a few years back, yeah.
But I'm just saying, my road's never been done, which, my road isn't that bad either, but I'm just
Right.
wondering, why did the same roads keep deteriorating? if
More
that
than
was just
likely a
answered pretty
matter of possibly when the road was built, your road was probably built with better base and probably better drainage. It could be the subsoils, and it could just be the traffic. If certain roads get a lot of truck traffic, they're more apt to fail. I always, in the past, blamed garbage trucks and school buses for doing the most damage to the roads, more so than big trucks. But now I have to include the large manure wagons on some of the large dairy farms. Unfortunately, there are not, I can't think of any large dairy farms in Westland Township.
I think, from a layman's perspective, Kennyville Road, there's two components there that are hurting that, actually 3. One is it is an old lake bed, I think that's the worst component. But 2, we've got a really large tree base there on the south side of the road that I think protects the sun from hitting it and thawing it out in the spring, and you get a prolonged thaw there. And 3rd, the drainage on the south side of Kennyville Road has deteriorated over the years. There used to be a tile, they dug it up 20, 30 years ago, and they have an open ditch, which is almost completely grown shut now. And so all these issues are building up, and it's causing that road to, which, I don't know what can be done without the landowner wanting to fix the ditch and the trees eliminated and all that.
Yeah, the drainage, we do that. We're behind on it, of course, but that is.
Well, but I'm talking
part of our
about the
maintenance.
drainage that takes the water away from that whole flat. I mean, that's like a 50, 75 acre flat area there.
Okay.
That drainage ditch that goes down to the south, you can't even tell it from the road because it's grown up so much. If you walked out in there, you can see where there used to be a tile in there, and they dug it up years ago. We used to farm that farm.
Yeah.
And they left an open ditch.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's been at least 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just now that water has to work its way through that open ditch, and it's just not very good shape. And
But
so
is that a county drain?
No.
Oh, it's not, it's private.
drain. I'm pretty sure it's not a county. The county would never have dug up a tile or nothing like that.
necessity you would have replaced it.
Yeah. But, but anyway, that's part of, I think, what's going on with that particular stretch of road.
Well, this would be the third time, it's been paid twice since I've been on the board, this would be the first time, or the third time that we've seen it on our list, so.
And Dallas is right, canopy does affect the roadways. The more shade on, you can see it as you travel. If you come to an open area of road, then you come to a canopy portion, you'll notice more deterioration, a lot more surface deterioration.
You can see the bleeding in the
Yes.
spring, it just lasts a lot
Yeah.
longer, it just takes longer for that to fall out.
And the frost cuts a lot deeper as well.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, much deeper.
So Jim, can you explain to me the timeframe here if we decide to do whatever we wanted to go with the chip sealing? You don't think we have time because we have, whatever we decide on has to go to the county commissioners now for their approval? Is that gonna be the timeframe problem, or is it just because you can't get the workers in before Labor
It's
Day?
because we won't be able to get the leveling, the prep work done as
Okay,
well.
we don't have to go and because there's no road commission advisory group there right now, we don't have to wait for someone else's final decision to go with whatever we decide with?
Well, if you decided on an agreement, I believe I don't remember, if it's August 24th or 28th, that would be the first meeting that we could get it approved.
So it does have to go to the county commissioners
Yes.
now to be approved, that that's
Yes.
what we decided to do?
Yes, and the county attorney has to approve our proposals prior to approval of the meeting.
So that's the problem with doing all the chip sealing, is it's not gonna happen before Labor Day, even if we decide tonight, that's what we
Yeah,
wanted to do.
yes, and in the future, I'm gonna try to work with all the townships. I'm hoping to get local road agreements done by, say, the 1st of April, so that we've got, I know fiscal years sometimes don't work that well with that, but the sooner the better, so that we can have preparation to order the materials first off, because we have to order it, so, well, we can't even get slag now. The blast furnace slag for the chip seal, we can't even get it. We put our order in for it in May, and we ordered what we thought we would use, and then we started getting more local road agreements in, so we're having to use natural aggregate for it instead of the slag. And the slag is a superior product, but if we know that you're gonna do a chip seal project, we can definitely have the slag on hand prior to the work.
So is it safe to make the statement then that there is somewhat of a more of a, what's the right word, timeframe restriction, dealing now with this new system, that it's a little less efficient in terms of getting it through the process, where before, I think we could just, it seemed like it went quicker.
I believe that the new system is gonna take about two additional weeks to get approval. That's my guess.
So as long as we know that, or you guys know that next year, you can at least work with it a little better.
So we're too late for this year.
For the chip seal, the
But
surface
if we
preparation.
get everything together, we could be at the top of the list next year.
Yes. And that relationship with the county may improve in time, once they have a better understanding of how we operate. The advisory board may come into play on that too, we're hoping, but, yeah,
It's kind of like a whole new ballgame.
It-
Everybody's got to kind of figure out where we're at.
it is.
Well, we have a wonderful representative on our advisory board, Chip and Jack.
You're gonna be it?
I'm a sucker, yeah.
Good for you.
I'm actually kind of excited about it, so.
Have they set their first meeting yet, or they?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Do you know if they are talking about when that first meeting's gonna be, when they're gonna get together, or?
I can look at my notes, but actually, we stayed away from the MTA meeting so that you guys could talk about it without us present.
I wasn't there either, so
Oh, okay.
I didn't make that.
We did talk about it.
I thought maybe you guys.
You
may
should have
want
come, we
that.
could have talked about it.
Well, I think that there's gonna be there's some heavy lifting that's gotta happen
Yeah.
with that whole process, and the advisory board's gotta figure out what exactly their function's gonna be, and how they're gonna interact, and how they're gonna, you know, be structured, and so there's a lot of things that need to be sorted through, so
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting process, I'm sure, so. I guess I'm looking for some direction from the board as to how they wanna proceed here, if at all, or what their thoughts are at this point, based upon what Jim has talked about here.
Well, Dallas, you're the truck driver and the big rig driver.
I think we should spend all the money on tree trimming.
Would you like to think about it for 3 days?
I think we thought about it for a really long time, we need to make a decision one way or the other.
All right, I would go with 3-1-2.
What's that mean?
I can be lobbied to go any route, my first choice would be 3, then 1, then 2.
So you're thinking that to do all the prep work this fall and then try to chip seal as much as you could next year, 2 or 3 miles?
In this fiscal year, I hope I can still be this fiscal year, but with me in spring. Spring 2013,
Well,
I can still follow our fiscal
Number
year.
3 is spending all your money on prep work and then using next year's dollars for chip seal. Is that what you're thinking?
I thought I was going to, when I read that, I thought it was going to take care of Wright Road.
Well, no, right, but I mean, but number 3 is,
Yes.
is spending all the money on this year's money on prep.
I can be lobbied to do whatever. I'm just throwing it out there to get the conversation generated.
Well, in scenario number 2, we can get 4 miles of chip sealing done, if I'm reading that correctly, which would use less prep work and more chip sealing. This is where I get a little bit confused. The prep work, has that always been at the township cost?
It's been a shared cost, yes.
It's been a shared cost?
Yes.
But now it's all our cost?
No,
No.
no. No, that's matching funds as well. I am hoping that the county board will agree with Bill and I to have a formula that we work with all townships on, such as you pay for the asphalt and we put it down. And take the labor factor
You
out.
absorb the prep work and all
Yeah,
that?
we absorb the actual prep work. And when I say you, I say matching funds. I say total available funding pays for the material. And the application is out of our maintenance budget. That's what we would like to actually come up with. That would be beneficial to all of you.
I know Bill's up on this maybe more than you are, but have you heard any chatter about, I mean, at one time there was a strong push in the legislature to get some additional funding for roads across the state. You're just hoping some of that would trickle into local programs, but it sounds like, at least what I hear on the news, that that's really lost its steam, at least until after the election. Maybe they'll pick it up in the lame duck, but.
I see exactly what you're saying.
Okay. You're not hearing anything behind the scenes or?
No, even the CRAM website has similar outlook.
Their best bet will be after the election,
Mhm.
so they're not gonna do anything. The only reason I ask is that, you know, it may affect next year if there's more cost share available.
Right.
If you had more dollars that you might, I mean, when I look back, you know, 16 years ago, when I was on the board, we used to get, I think, 18 or 20,000 at that time. You could do a mile of road for 35,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood. Complete resurfacing.
Yeah.
And so almost half or 2/3 of the cost was cost sharing.
Right.
And now we're down to we can't hold a candle to anything, hardly.
Right.
We're not getting anything done, and that's discouraging.
It is.
Everything being equal, we should be getting 50 to 75,000 in cost sharing
Mhm.
from the county, you know, to be equal to what we were in 1996.
Right.
Dollar for dollar, so it's just, I know you can't do anything about it, but.
Yeah. I share the discouragement.
But a barrel of oil was $20 in 1996, and now it's $95. other comments? Patty has thrown out an idea. Anybody want to jump in with their thoughts or different thought or?
Oh, I was wondering why you said you recommended either 2 or 3
Yeah.
instead of 1. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering kind of why, because we get,
My reasoning for that is if we went with scenario 1, we would have to choose roads that were in better shape, or, you know, we wouldn't be able to do enough prep work. We couldn't afford to do enough prep work to chip
Okay.
seal 5 miles. And then
so
we
2
would,
and 3 address concerns with roads that need
yes.
are in poor shape.
Well, unfortunately, sounds reactive, but we really have, in my opinion, we have to address the worst of the worst.
Which one of the 2 there? 2 or 3?
I personally like number 2.
2?
I personally like number 2, but like I said, that's just my thought on daily traffic volumes. But you being the township, I work for you. You field complaints as well.
What do you think, Patty?
I just stirred it up to get the conversation going, but I can be lobbied to do. I'm gonna,
Judy, do you have some thoughts?
I'm thinking.
We'll come back to Judy, sure.
Well, I'm just, you know, he says we have to deal with our residents, but, you know, even with the road millage on the ballot, we've heard nothing. I mean, no one's come to our meetings, no one's called, you know, we had the public hearing, which very few people came to. If we wouldn't have had it the same night as a planning commission meeting, it wouldn't have even been a meeting. And nobody calls, you know, to ask questions or complain. We put it in our newsletter.
So we just do our own roads?
That's not where I was headed, but I just.
See what happens.
Yeah, right.
I'm a little concerned that our residents aren't, you know, more concerned about what's going on. We're also concerned about it, but there just doesn't seem to be any concern out there. I don't know. Maybe there isn't, they're just not expressing it, but
when they took the
our residents
when
have
they
never
took the
had problem
recycling
expressing
away, They really got
themselves,
really
so.
upset about that, didn't
Yeah.
they?
They do.
I think people are concerned, but they just feel like, what's the use, we can't afford it. You know, go to heck anyway, so.
Well, I think there's so much of it.
Exactly, it's like
That-
overwhelming. to
Where do
them,
you
so
start?
it's
And
just-
no way can it all be done, so.
We think there's enough other stuff to beat you guys
You
up
know,
on,
nobody
so.
ever calls and says my road's in terrible condition. You know, you'd think you'd hear from somebody, you know,
Yeah.
complaining or something, but you just
My
don't.
road's not too good.
You're a primary.
Well, can I say something too? You know, my husband worked with Jim for pretty much their whole lives, but, you know, and my knowledge of him and his expertise, I would say, you know, he's the man, he knows what's going on, so. That's just my personal thought, but, you know, we always say that we can't know everything, you know, and so this time I said, this is a guy we can listen to, I guess.
Well, when we made our motion last month, the motion was that we weren't gonna set the roads because we didn't know enough about it and you were just gonna negotiate, so
Yeah.
that's basically what we said last month.
Negotiate, guys.
We want something, I don't care what, yeah.
Well, I think that,
That's like somewhere.
you know, we budgeted the dollars, the proposals here. I agree, number 1 probably is probably the least attractive for a lot of reasons. I could work with 2 or 3 personally, and either one of them would be fine with me. So I guess the board needs to, if we can come to a consensus on which one of those 2, we should make a decision and move forward.
I'm comfortable taking that recommendation.
I am too. I mean, he's the expert.
Okay, so, Jim, you think 3 is the best scenario?
No,
Your
I
opinion?
I personally think 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, I said 2.
But I don't wanna disagree with Patty.
You don't? Oh, you're the first one that never has.
Well, we've gotta start somewhere. We just keep talking about it. It's not gonna get done.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, the road names are not set in stone, but that can yet to be changed. These are what came to my mind in my travels, and like I said, the daily traffic volumes, you know, from my point of view, I get more complaints from the more highly traveled roads. And I assumed, and evidently I was wrong, but Sherry says you really don't hear many complaints about the roads here. I assumed
I
that
don't.
we did.
You know, it's really bizarre because we certainly have not had, people come in and raise an issue with it. It hasn't. I don't know if there's a disconnect between them knowing that they could come in and complain to us, and then even though we can't do a lot, we have some control, but I think there is some of that, and people just don't associate the township with being, they think of you folks rather than us more so. You probably get more complaints than we do as far as.
Yeah, we do. Well, she knows what I'm talking about, but Schofield Road between Kelly and Holly.
Our curb was
is-
falling off. They did fix that a
Yeah.
little bit, so I haven't been complaining too much, but yeah.
But
it was like
that's
no road
another
there.
perfect candidate,
Yeah.
and that would help scenario number 3. It would let us do more work such as that.
Okay, well, Jim has recommended number 2, and I guess at this point, if the board would like to move forward, we'd look at a proposal that would authorize the road commission to move forward with number 2. So, somebody wants to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor to go with proposal number 2 that Jim has provided. Support?
I'll support.
Any further discussion before we vote on this? Hearing none, roll call please.
Henny,
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Cecil, yes, Valentin.
Yes.
Vickers, yes.
Thank you very much.
Jim, I will have to say Dale does have a real valid complaint about it, but I called the Drain Commission, had them come out and look at that at that time. I don't know, the hole does get quite huge there.
And I will check that.
Like I said, you guys patched it, but I mean, something washed that out from underneath. That didn't come from the top, that came from down below.
That's why I think at one time the Drain Commission had come out there and really had looked at that, and I thought they were the ones who would do some repair to it, I don't know.
Well,
but
it
does
must
get
be,
quite
I'm
huge.
unaware of it.
And they patched it, they plugged it full of asphalt. Like I say, whatever washed it out, they're definitely gonna come back and do it again.
Well, if I get a call on a pothole, I respond within 24 hours.
That was on the 4th of July weekend when I was calling on that, and that was hard.
Well, we had people working the 4th of July and the 5th of July, remember the wind and.
Well, this was a couple
Oh.
years ago, this happened.
Okay.
Any other questions of Jim before we vote?
Thank you very much.
I do have a personal question. I see some orange paint on Churchill there down by my house. I'm just curious,
Yeah,
you're gonna do some work there?
chip seal. That's the primary, that's right, we're doing 24 miles of primary chip seal, and that's part of it. They didn't pass that stuff out to you last spring?
Probably, but I just seen it all sprayed the other day and I wasn't sure. I was hoping maybe you guys just gonna put a whole cap on it.
Actually, the paver will be there, tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't wanna drag my truck down. I'll have to go around the block.
Go on by Katie Dale's place.
Yeah, I've been down by the big pothole down by.
If you didn't know where it was, you wouldn't find it.
I don't get out that way very often.
It's
Your
your
choices
going
are.
away present or resignation present or present or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, there you go.
Why don't you just pave his driveway while you're at it, and see
Oh,
what's that,
no.
contact it.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I've been fired for less.
All right, well,
Oh,
thanks,
no, he
Jim.
thinks he's bulletproof now.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, and I will get something in the works and we'll be in touch.
All right, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, cemetery report, Judy.
Everything's fine.
Not much more going on, I suppose.
Have you talked to Ron at all? They're all doing something over there all the time, picking up sticks and see
Mhm.
Kenny and down there.
Well, I know
So
now
they're
that-
keeping busy.
He was busy with the fair, but now that that's over with, I know he was, getting busy again and getting stuff done over there. We talked to him last week, just briefly.
I know, looking at the weather this evening there, that they're awful confident we're gonna get some rain the next day or two. Boy, that'd be nice to get the grass green back up again. I'm sorry?
So you think it'll work?
I guess we can always hope.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Judy. Fire department, I don't have much to report on that. I guess there was a minor miscommunication. The firemen were gonna host the chamber, but somehow or another that kind of fell through the cracks somehow or another, so I'm sure they're working on that, trying to figure out what happened there, so. But, it was nice to have Bruce here last month, give us a
Mhm.
report.
It was very nice.
I don't think it's something we need to have all the time, but it is occasionally nice
Yeah,
to have him
once
come.
in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerry?
Things fairly quiet, getting a few inquiries, had one call from a realtor in Pennsylvania about cell towers, so I don't know if they're looking to try and add one or just,
I hope it's AT&T.
yeah, them or Sprint, either one, but, yeah, I told them that we, definitely encouraged, cohabitation, if you will, and, all, and so I think that's pretty much what they're looking for, but she wouldn't tell me which company they were working for.
Any questions of Jerry? Thanks, Jerry. Legal correspondence.
We just get by the building report because Ron's not here, obviously, but when did I tell you Ron's birthday was? What month, do you remember?
We don't remember. September, October.
I was thinking October, November, anyway, his 80th birthday.
80th
80th birthday, and it
is
falls
this
on our
fall.
board meeting night, so
Oh.
we have got, will let you guys all know, but, we've got to make sure he gets here and we'll have cake and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, it actually falls on the board meeting night.
It seemed like it was after Labor Day sometime.
It seems like, I think it's October is what I think, but I'll check on it.
Yeah, you think he's gonna show up here on his birthday?
I think he will.
I think I would be ill and be having another party.
I think he will. We'll make
Sure,
sure
that's
there's,
kind of
we'll
a
make
big
sure
one.
there's something on the agenda that he
That he
needs to
has to.
address. We'll
Okay.
let him know.
He just didn't have a check to pick up tonight, so.
Yeah, promise him a bonus or something.
We've got something for
Be
you.
the cake.
We could say we have a sweet surprise.
No, they would get it.
He needs to report on the last class he took or something.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that class this week? I don't remember. He was taking a class. Maybe that's
Hmm.
it. No? No, no.
I think it is this week, but.
But he needs to
I'm not
come and
sure.
report on it, that the October meeting, that we're gonna put him on the agenda.
Anything else, Jerry?
I just have a thank you from the city of Leslie for our donation to the pool. They're very grateful. They said your continued contribution makes it possible for many area families to enjoy this wonderful community resource. And then we have, a letter from Consumers Energy, and I put a copy in everybody's back there, inviting you to a public official open house for emergency and government officials. And it's Tuesday, September 18th. That's all I have.
Thank you. Fred?
Not a thing.
Judy? Ken?
I don't know if Sherry's going to address this or not, but, anytime I was down there, stepped down there yesterday during election, I think we had a good group of people working down there. They seemed very jovial and addressed the people well. I think they worked well together.
Sounds like you put a nice team together.
They're all wonderful people. And they have to deal with some really difficult people, and I have to give them credit. Oh, they do. People are upset because they had to do the citizenship thing, and because their driver's license, just the littlest things that some people have is just absolutely amazing. But
Quite
they
an article
handled it really well.
in the paper today on US citizenship box, check that out.
The state of Michigan gave them a specific set of rules, and
Yeah.
they changed it halfway through election day. They changed it, and so a lot of the municipalities didn't get the,
Didn't know.
the notice. So people were seeing on the news that they didn't have to do it, and then they were coming in polls, and of course it's still on form, you didn't change the forms in a day or anything.
That's crazy.
But it's not enough to make people upset, you know, it's maybe.
We are getting out of line. I mean, first you want the driver's license, now they want that. What's gonna be the next thing on it? There's so much baller fog in my head, 20% turnout.
That's the part that bugs me.
Mhm.
Anybody can walk in there, so I don't mind.
Most people don't, but they're, you know.
I mean, the concept's built for larger area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Most people walk in, you know what they're from
Yeah,
here
you
and
may
now.
Those election workers down there are the ones that set the rules, you know,
Yeah,
they're the ones that
exactly.
have to take the, you know, abuse from
Yeah.
people, unfortunately.
I have nothing for
If I pull electrical permit for my place, is that gonna trigger any other additions or corrections?
Yeah, that's when he asked that, because people say that stuff all the time.
Because I was talking with another guy who's in Ingham County, and he pulled an electrical permit and put a box in his garage, and they were making him hardwire, fire alarms into his bedroom, smoke alarms. I said, they can't make you do that.
I don't know how,
Nothing more of this sort.
I mean, I don't know how that.
But no, really, I have people say that all the time, that's why they're afraid to come get one permit, because it may trigger some other permits.
Well, I mean, I can understand that
Yeah.
thought process. I mean, in Leslie Township, if you're gonna put a new box in your garage, and you put it, that's all he comes and inspects is whatever work you're gonna do. I wouldn't even let him come in the house. You know, there's no reason for him to come in and do anything else. I mean, so.
This guy was right at it about it, they wanted to come in and inspect, I said, no, that shouldn't be right at all, I mean.
I don't think by law they have to allow them. You think beyond whatever they're upgrading or changing.
I think Christine is right, though. There's probably more to that story that you only heard, they only tell you the one part, but there's probably more to
But
it.
still, I mean, you pull a permit and all of a sudden, because you don't have these smoke alarms in your bedroom, they're making you hardwire these in, I mean, that's not right. We'll jump in a lake.
I guess if I thought, personally, if I thought that was happening in Leslie Township, and it was coming to my attention, I'd probably have a conversation with our inspector as to, A, why he's doing that. Now, if it's a state law that says they have to do that, that's a different conversation. I don't believe it is. And I would probably, it sounds like to me that's just an inspector who's kind of running a little rogue. You know, I mean, that sounds like it's a little above and beyond what they need to be doing. And I would probably have a conversation with them. But unless they, like I say, pointed out that that is the law, and they're going following the law, that's a different.
So I'm saying, it'd be like updating your house, bringing it all up to code. I mean, somebody like me would have to go a long way to bring my old house up to code versus somebody like Sherry that's got a fairly new house out there.
I understand.
I can only speak from, we got the jail rental list, I know Tom had inspectors, they came and did what their thing was, and actually pretty quickly, and, checked the form, and, the way they went, yeah. Steve was real happy with it.
I was just curious whether you knew anything about that, whether you drew a permit for something that triggers something else.
From what the way I understand it, that should not. Whatever, if you pull a permit for a specific, now if you're pulling a permit and you're gonna do the whole house,
That's a different story.
it's a different conversation. Yes. But if you, especially a garage or a building that's not a part of the house, I wouldn't even let them in my house. I'd say, you don't need to go in there.
Dale, if you pull a permit to wire a garage, and the garage isn't there, you're gonna have to pull a permit for the garage.
That'll cause a problem. You come in to get an electrical permit for your garage, and there's no garage on the record, that'll be a problem.
Well, I was looking at my photos that you've got on your website down there for my place, or I looked at some where they were up, and boy, you only got a picture of the house and one picture of the criminal falling down barn out there.
Would you like me to take different angles?
I don't know.
Can you get that online?
It's been on mine for a little while.
Really?
Really?
Some of us are snooping in the record so that everybody's paying for taxes, what people pay for things. You go down roads, I've got this down to an art somewhat.
Hingham.org.
Yeah.
I do one, everybody else has done one.
Well, I have a couple more too, I'm waiting to, go ahead.
You want me to go ahead?
Sure.
You guys had asked me last month, Jason was here from David Chapman Agency, to call VBA and Onondaga and ask them about their 3-year agreements. And so I did talk to both clerks, or actually I talked to the supervisor at VBA and the clerk at Onondaga. And they were both very happy. They said they felt that it did keep their price lower, even though he doesn't really guarantee that. Basically for the same things that he said that he's bidding out, company knowing that he's gonna have their business in the future. But the thing that they both liked the most is they didn't have to take any bids from any other companies. They got tired of the other companies coming in and trying to bid it out all the time. They could say, we have a thing for 3 years, don't come and bother me anymore. They said it was more like a convenience thing for them. So they both told me the exact same thing.
Can't you just say I'm happy with what I got?
I'm just telling you what both of those places told me. And we have budgeted for 3 new furnaces for this year. And Consumers Energy right now has a rebate program for $1,050 per furnace, as long as we do it this fall. So actually the gentleman came out and looked at all of our stuff. He's already put in the pre-application for us, anticipating that we're going to get that work done. So are we good to go ahead and let Chris Fuller know that it's time to do the work there?
I think so.
We're also,
That was time sensitive.
And then, E&D Electric came in on Monday and looked at all of our lighting system, on the suggestion of the Consumers Energy gentleman that was here. And we haven't got the final report back yet, but it looks like, there would be $1,600 in incentives for us changing all of our light fixtures around inside, outside. And the cost savings, according to him so far, is gonna be approximately $1,700 a year in our energy bill.
Is that all?
$1,700 is all?
That was-
And I'm like, wow, I about fell to the
That
floor.
was the tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
I agree, that's a lot of money.
But that is according to consumers, B&D Electric is gonna give us their own bid and estimate. So I will come back and let you know.
I mean, even if it's half that, it's still significant.
Well, if we take the rebate that we get for the furnaces, we might be able to do the lights, I don't know that.
Okay, anything else, Sherry?
Nope, that's it.
I would just, and I thought about making this an agenda item, but wasn't sure if it's appropriate, but I guess I would just throw this out there. The road millage failed by 21 votes. You know, there's a school of thought that says that the constituents have spoken, that's the way it is, and we should just let it go. And there's also a school of thought that says, well, 21 votes, that's 11 people change their vote and it passes. So I guess I'm just looking some direction from the board, if they would like to even consider throwing it back on in November, or they just want to let the thing die and move on. I guess if it were lost by, 100 votes or half or something, that would be a clear cut. This was not what I would call real clear cut, but I also know that it is the vote, and that's what people have said, so.
I don't think it would hurt to put it back on. I mean, if it was, like you said, a bigger margin, it would be different, but when it's that close, if they don't vote for it, then
That was my first initial thought as well. But I don't know, after listening tonight, it's kind of an uncertain situation with the road commission.
oh, it is. I agree.
I guess my first thought was to try it again, but I think maybe, let's see how things shake out with the advisory and how that's going to make things continue.
When would be the next time we can put it on, other than November? I remember when the school
Yeah.
passed their millage, it was overall Headley, and they kept putting it on and on and on and on. Even though the voter says no, they tried it again and again and again until finally it did pass.
We're doing 2 years in November.
Yeah.
Well, see, we've had an election every year because of school election, you can piggyback on, but when you piggyback on, you pay the whole cost.
What
But
I'm
now
saying-
it's 2 years,
saying
they
is,
just changed the law.
I think
I
that
agree
was-
with you
it was
110%.
wrong that they did that.
I do, I agree with you
But-
110%. But what I think is even worse than that is what he's telling us, you've got your scenarios in front of you, that's all stuff that they paid for up until recently. Those weren't even our costs. So now we're using all of our money just to pay for the maintenance that they used to provide for us for free.
It's true.
And that's the part that is just, it's kind of hard to swallow. We're not paving any roads, we're just doing the maintenance, or not even coming close to doing what they used to do, just doing a portion of what we used to get for free. Or what our tax dollars pay for, it wasn't for free, but.
Well, it gets back to my comment when I was here about how things have gotten away from us, and the dollars that they had back in the 90s and 2000s, and what they could do with those compared to and I don't blame the road commission at all. I blame the formulas and the things that we're using today to fund the roads. It's based upon an old system when cars used to get 10 miles to the gallon, and so it's not reflective of what's going on today, and they're falling behind, and there's obviously no political will to make a change, at least in the short run. So we're stuck, and I guess our choice is of doing nothing and let things just completely fall apart, or do the best you can and hold your finger in the dike as long as you can, and hopefully that maybe things will change and they'll fix it. But it's a tough. I guess I even question whether or not we're going to have the $24,000 next year cost share to get our 24, to get the 4 miles that we're thinking about doing.
I agree with all three of them. No, I do. I agree with Brett. I didn't like it when the school did that, and as a voter, I felt very uncomfortable with that. I agree with Judy. Well, why not ask for it? You know, maybe the voters weren't really paying attention to what was going on, and I also agree with Patty. I think that there's unrest at the road commission. I think all three of you are right.
I guess the only comment I would make is if the board thought they wanted to put this back on, that I think that there needs to be a coordinated effort to do the best job humanly possible to educate our residents as to why this is there and what it would do and how it would do it. And unfortunately, that isn't as clear cut as I'd like it to be, but doing nothing obviously we know what the results of that will be. You know, if we decided to do that, I truly would want that to be a part of the whole process. We have to come up with a plan to educate people as best we can. And the only other thing that I would throw out there that by going in November, outside of the fact it's going to be just a marathon of voting, it's going to be, you know, I commented yesterday with the girls downstairs and Bill. Anyway, was, you know, the November ballot's going to be 20 pages long with all the proposals we're going to have to look at, you know, I mean, it's going to be huge. So,
They had to take the instructions off in order to fit it on a two-sided ballot.
so anyway, I think that, because what's going to come, the good news is everybody, there's going to be a huge turnout. We'll probably get 1,500 people come in here and vote in November. So you're going to get a complete representative of the entire township. So nobody can say, well, it was snuck through in the dark of night or anything else. It was, you know, everybody got a chance to vote,
Your
good or
second
bad.
chance.
The bad news is this huge ballot is going to have all this stuff in there, and you could get caught up in the tsunami of, I don't understand any of this, I'm just going to vote no on everything. I mean, that can certainly happen. You know, we all know that people, you throw so much stuff at them, and they just get tired of it, they just say, no, I don't want to do anything. So.
Well, it's going to be 2 more years before we have a ballot that's not going to cost us any additional money. That's the answer to your question.
Okay.
I mean, we can call an election every 3 months, but we have to pay for it.
But you'd have to.
I mean, we're paying now anyway, but I'm just saying it would be an extra whole election to ask it at a different time.
So it would be in November 14,
It'd be in August of,
August of 14.
because you're going to have a general and a primary. This will be, next year will be the first year we haven't had a November election since school consolidation, but the state finally said you have to go with an even year, because it was costing so much money to run all these elections. And the schools were paying it, but you know, then they don't have, you know, they're complaining about not having enough money, so it just didn't make any sense. They can still call specials, but if they called a special, and we piggybacked on, we would still have to pay for the election.
We did.
We would, because the township's the primary, so if the primary
Yeah.
piggybacks on, they have to pay for the whole thing.
You and I are the two that are kind of leaning towards putting on November, we want to wait for 2 years.
If
I
you
won't
guys
be
feel
here in 2
really, if you
years.
guys feel very strongly about that, I would support you. I would, because I agree with, I mean, if you feel that strongly about putting it back in November, I would support you.
I don't like the unrest of not having things set. I guess that would be my only,
What do you mean?
I mean, right now we have to go and wait for the county commissioners to decide what they can approve or whatever. I mean, I think that loop is gonna be out of the structure, hopefully with the advisory committee, and I guess I'd rather wait and see what
You wanna wait
settle.
2 years then?
We won't have any probably any matching funds next year to do anything with, but, or the following year.
You mean out of our budget?
We may.
We should
We
be able
should
to
be
have
able
enough
to
to come up with
24,
one.
but I mean,
And I mean, who knows what's
$24,000,
gonna happen,
what are
but,
you gonna do with $48,000 really, I mean.
well, he
but-
told you what you're
I
gonna do.
know, yes.
You know, normally the reason they put, I mean, you put the issue on the primary is it has a more likely chance to pass than it would in November, so
I'm comfortable trying to wait for 2 years. See how things go.
I'm disappointed that, like I said earlier, we don't hear from anybody. You just think somebody call and ask a question, you know, hey, I just noticed this is on the ballot, what can you tell me about it, or not one person. That just really blows my mind.
I can't say that 100%. I've had some conversations with people about it, but a lot of times I initiated the conversation, and then once we talked about it a little bit, I mean, we had a nice chat about it, but I never had anybody, you know, call me at home or meet me on the street and run me down and, you know, wanna talk about it, but,
I
It just
think they
seems
assume
odd.
it's the road commission that, you know, they forget about this level and go right to them.
No, but I mean, just about the millage being on the ballot.
Yeah.
Nobody-
If you had a problem with your road as a citizen, you'd probably call the road commission,
Mhm.
you wouldn't call your township
Yes,
board to
that's
see what they could fix. I don't think the average person knows.
The only thing I can say about putting it on again is it's still fresh in the minds of those that did vote for it. And maybe the ones that didn't would have thought about it more and.
Oh, you could make them mad and they.
And that's right, you don't, I mean, it's, you're darned if you do,
I
darned if
know,
you
I
don't,
know.
it's,
So I think in November it's gonna get buried too.
yeah.
I mean,
No
with all of the other information that's gonna be on there.
The only thing that's lower than us on the ballot is the schools. We're at the bottom of the heap. I think you're right about people voting no, 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 and I also think people stop voting. You know,
Yeah,
I
they just won't vote
I
for
voted
you.
for everything I care about, and then they just turn their back on it.
Yeah. Well, then I guess we wait 2 years and.
okay. Any other comments from the board?
Just an observation on the trip I took north, it seems like I'm seeing more and more windmill generators going up everywhere.
Mhm.
And just, I mean, I'm not talking just one or two, I'm talking
Mhm.
packs of them.
Wind farms. I would just make one last comment that I thought that Sherry and Deb did a wonderful job of the election yesterday, and, you know, I think we can be proud knowing that we have such a, I find it bizarre when I hear about people in different parts of the country, they have trouble with their elections and some of the fraud that they talk about, and I just can't even imagine how that could